hold it. Hey, take it easy. Now, just what's going on here?
Why, man, this is a hootenanny.
Way down yonder in a gentle little switch.
Praise Ruckus night.
A bullfrog tried to jump the ditch.
Praise Ruckus night.
Didn't quite make it from bank to bank.
Praise Ruckus night.
I'll skin my leg from tank to tank.
Praise Ruckus night.
Why don't you
come along? The children come along. While the moon is shining bright.
We got the
Come on in, Kentucky. Throw up a chair, Chicago, and set a spell. Howdy, Maine. Mighty glad to have you. Light down Nevada and let the sun shine on your saddle. If y'all feel like dancing, well, sail in and dance.
Hurry up, boy, and on you go, and granny with the dog by no child, no, and chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough, and hurry up, boy, and on you go. Maybe the last time.
The Columbia Broadcasting System presents its newest musical, Hootenanny. Peter Seeger, Woody Guthrie, Cisco Houston, Sidney Bechet, Brownie McGee, Saunders Terry, Hollywood, and the Coleman brothers are going to open up America's big folk song bag for you on Hootenanny. And now here's your host, Johnny Falk from Texas.
Maybe some of y'all don't know what a hootenanny is. Well, now, I'll try to tell you. A hootenanny is sort of a do-funny. It's one kind of a thingamabob. Then some folks say it's a whatchamacallit related on its mother's side to the Tennessee branch of the do-flicker.
I don't quite get that.
I don't either.
Well, to boil it all down, a hootenanny is folks are raising the Ruckus with the singing and the banjo picking and the get fiddling. Tell you what I'll do. I'll get Peter Seeger and his banjo to show you exactly what a hootenanny is with a little touch of Ida Red.
Ida Red, she lives in town, weighs 340 pounds. Ida Red, I'm from to about Ida Red. Come on. Ida Red, she ain't no fool. She can put a saddle on a humpback mule. Ida Red, I'm from to about Ida Red. Ida Red's about half grown, jumps on a man like a dog on a bone. Ida Red, I'm from to about Ida Red. Lots more verses to this song, but I guess I better be getting along. Ida Red, I'm from to about Ida Red. Ida Red, I'm from to about Ida Red.
That was old Beanpole Peter Seeger, the fastest banjo picker in the country, with Eddie Smith, fiddling right alongside of him. Now, if there's anything I like better than a 5-string banjo, it's a guitar with somebody picking it that knows how. And we've got that man right here on our hootenanny. Brownie McGee from Tennessee and his harmonica-playing friend, Sonny Terry. What'd you bring to the hootenanny, Brownie?
Johnny, I brought you the blues tonight.
Where'd your blues come from?
My blues come from Texas, loping just like a mule. My blues jumped the rabbit one morning and run him for 1 solid mile. But tell the whole truth about it, when my blues overtook that rabbit sit down and cried just like a natural child. But my story is really this. I woke up this morning and I had the blues all in my bread. And before I got up, the blues was all around my bed. I got a letter, and it come to me by mail. My baby said she was coming home, and I hope that she don't fail. That's why I feel so good. Yes, I feel so good. Boys, I feel so good. I feel like calling her name. Woo! Sonny boy, I went down to the station.
What you say, man?
Went down there to meet the train. Woo! How can I miss the girl I love when you know I've got dead pain? That's why I feel so good. Yes, I feel so good. Well, I feel so good, I feel like Ball Jack. Play it for me a little while now, boy. Well, I feel so good, I feel like balling the jack. Woo!
That blues reminds me of a old boy I used to know down in Texas. He used to have seizures, poetic fits. What made it so bad on him was his family was that it was his own poetry. When one of these poetry fits would strike him, well, we'd have to carry him out in the bull pasture and stake him out of hearing. I can just see him now out there, 2 buckskin hobbles around his legs, pointing at the dirt and reciting with his head in the air. I often have wondered how a woman loved men. Then I've looked back and wondered how men could love them. Love, it's a funny thing, shaped just like a lizard. It'll run right up your backbone and nibble at your gizzard. Love, it's a killing fit.
What's wrong with love, Johnny?
It always seemed like a waste of time to me.
Now, Johnny, you don't mean that.
Well, maybe I don't.
Well, you just let me and Pete tell you about love. Oh, can't you see that little turtle dove sitting on the green willow tree? How he doth mourn for his own true love, as I shall mourn for thee, my dear, as I shall mourn for thee.
Oh, fare thee well, my little turtle dove, and fare thee well for a while. Although I go, I shall surely come again. If I go 10,000 miles, my dear, if I go 10,000 miles.
10,000 miles is very, very far for you to return to me. You leave me here to lament and well a day. My tears you shall not see, my dear. My tears you shall not see.
The crow is black, my little turtle dove. It will surely turn to white. If ever I forsaken you, bright day will turn to night, my love. Bright day will turn to night.
Bright day will turn to night, my love, and the elements will mourn. If ever I've forsaken you, the sea shall rage and burn, my love. The sea shall rage and burn.
That was Hally and Peter Seeger singing like a couple of turtle doves. And now, folks, I got a surprise for you. prize comes from New Orleans. He's got a little halo of silver hair up around his ears that comes from all that sweet music he's made. He was one of the first people to find out that you could get a wind instrument to sing just like a natural man. He's one of the founders of jazz. Sidney Bechet, playing Summertime with Pops Foster on the bass.
Johnny, that kind of a love song might do pretty good here in one of these silk-lined New York nightclubs, but there's lots of parts of Oklahoma it wouldn't do so good in.
What's the matter with it, Woody?
Well, there's too much turtle doving, too much taking it easy, you know. There ain't enough rambling and gambling and rough traveling in it.
Folks want y'all to meet Woody Guthrie and Cisco Houston. They're Dust Bowl balladeers from Oklahoma. Woody boy, you and Cisco give us one of your dusty old love songs.
Let's fly on that mouth organ, Sonny, and we'll put this thing up into thin gravy. Well, there is a house in this old town. That's where my true love sets him down. Takes other women right down on his knee, and he tells them a little tale that he won't tell me. And it's hard, ain't it hard to love one that never did love you. And it's hard, ain't it hard, good Lord, to love one that never will be true. First time I seen my true love, he was walking by my door. And the last time I seen his false-hearted smile, he was dead on his cooling board. Well, it's hard, ain't it hard, to love one that never did love you. Hard, and it's hard, ain't it hard, good Lord, to love one that never will be true. Well, don't go to drinking and gambling. Don't go there your sorrows to drown. That hard liquor place is a low-down disgrace, meanest old place in this town. Hard, and it's hard, ain't it hard, to love one that never did love you. Well, it's hard, and it's hard, ain't it hard, good Lord, to love one that never will be true. Well, gonna shoe your little feet? Who's gonna glove your little hand? Who's gonna kiss your red ruby lips when I'm in that far and distant land? Hard, and it's hard, ain't it hard, to love one that never did love you. Hard, and it's hard, ain't it hard, good Lord, to love one that never will be true. Who's gonna shoe your little feet? Who'll glove my little hand? Sister can kiss my red ruby lips. I'm in that far and distant land. Hard, and it's hard, ain't it hard, to love one that never did love you. Hard, and it's hard, ain't it hard, good Lord, to love one that never will be true.
You know, folks, it's hard to tell just what part of the country Woody Guthrie is from. Oklahoma and New York both claim Woody. New York claims he's from Oklahoma, and Oklahoma claims he's from New York.
Anyhow, I ain't from Texas.
Oh, well, wait a minute. What's the matter with Texas?
Well, Texas never would have been there in the first place if it hadn't have blowed down from Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's just the trouble with Oklahoma, that dust. They tell me it's so dusty up there, Woody, that the buzzards have to wear goggles and fly backwards to keep them choking to death.
Well, anyhow, folks, it's time to rise above now the paltry entanglements of personalities on to higher planes of meditation and art, literature, philosophy, culture. So you see before yourself here an Oklahomian, nothing up my sleeve, nothing in my pockets, nothing in my pocketbook, and nothing. Just got a pretty good little piece of advice here. Don't cost you nothing to listen to it. Goes a little like this. If you want to get to heaven, I can tell you what to do. You grease your feet with a mutton stew. Then you slide out of the devil's hands and you ooze over to the promised land. You go easy. And you go greasy. Standing in the corner by the mantelpiece, standing in the corner by a bucket of grease. I stuck my foot in that bucket of grease. I went slipping up and down the mantelpiece and hunting matches, cigarette stubs, chewing tobacco. Well, my old mistress promised me that when she died, she'd set me free. She lived so long that her head got bald, she give up the notion of ever dying at all. She's too tough to die. Too darn mean. Down in the hen house late last night, it's awful dark, it didn't have no light. Reached for a chicken and I got me a goose. A man come out, I had to turn him loose. I made a new door. Hit a rose bush. And some plowed ground. Ain't no use in me working so hard because I've got a gal in the rich folks' yard, and when they kill a chicken, she sends me the feet, thinks I'm working, I'm loafing on the street. Listening to the gossip, watching the traffic lights. Well, there ain't no use in me working so hard because I got a gal in the rich folks' yard, and when they kill a chicken, she sends me the head, thinks I'm working, I'm laying up in bed, dreaming about her. 2 other women. Down in the holler, sitting on a log, my hand on my gun and my eye on a hog. Pulled that trigger, and my gun went zip, and I grabbed that hog with all of my grip. I can't eat hog eyes, but I love chitlins. I'd chase Sally, Sally chased me.
Raise the bell tonight.
I'd chase Sally up a holler tree.
Raise the bell tonight.
Tree was slick and Sally slipped.
Raise the bell tonight.
And I didn't get to kiss her but a darn little bit.
Raise the bell tonight.
Let the Hootenanny rock, children. Let the Hootenanny rock.
Now you rock my soul and the bosom of baby hand. Will you rock my soul and the bosom of baby hand? Will you rock my soul and the bosom of baby hand? Lord, you rock my soul. Why don't you rock my soul? Now you rock my soul.
Folks, it's the Coleman brothers rolling out their spirituals in rhythm again. Tonight they tell me they're going to sing a new version of an old spiritual. You may run on for a long time.
You may run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Let me tell you, God Almighty gonna cut you down. You may run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Let me tell you, God Almighty gonna cut you down. Go tell that long-tongued liar. Hey. Go tell that midnight rider. Hey. Tell the gambler, rambler, backslider, tell them God Almighty gonna cut you down. You may run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Let me tell you, God Almighty gonna cut you down. Well, stop, God Almighty, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on my bended knee, talking to the man from Galilee. When my God spoke, he spoke so sweet, I thought I heard the shuffle of the angel's feet. He placed one hand upon my head. Great God Almighty, let me tell you what he said. Go tell that long-tongued liar. Hey. Go tell that midnight rider. Hey. Tell the gambler, the rambler, backslider, tell them God Almighty gonna cut you down. You may run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Let me tell you, God Almighty gonna cut you down. You may throw a rock and hide your hand. Work in the dark against your fellow man. True as God made the day from night. What you do in the dark will be brought to light. You may run and hide, slip and slide, trying to take the mote from your neighbor's eye. True as God made the rich and poor. You got to reap just what you sow. Go tell that long-tongued liar. Yeah. Go tell that midnight rider. Hey. Tell the gambler, rambler, backslider, tell them God Almighty gonna cut you down. You may run on for a long time. run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Let me tell you, God Almighty gonna cut you down. Some people go to church just to signify, trying to make a date with the brother's wife. One of these days, brother, sure as you're born, you better leave that little woman alone. You're gonna run up there, rap on the door. That's all, brother, you'll rap no more. Go tell that a long tongue liar, hey. Go tell that a midnight rider, hey. Tell the gambler, rambler, backstabber, tell them God Almighty gonna cut you down. You may run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Let me tell you, God Almighty gonna cut you down. Run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Let me tell you, God Almighty gonna cut you down. Run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Let me tell you, God Almighty gonna cut you down.
You folks beginning to see what a hootenanny is now? It's the 48 states on a musical jamboree, where we roll out the great, big, bright-colored musical carpet of American folk music, the songs of, by, and for the people of this country. Hootenanny there is a song-swapping fest between everybody and his neighbor and his little brother. I'll tell you what, we'll show you just how it works out with one song. We'll show you how the people put together, verse by verse, the great ballad of John Henry, the legendary steel-driving man. John Henry started as a lonesome work song.
John Henry was a little baby. He was sitting on his daddy's knee. He pointed his finger at a little piece of steel, said it's gonna be the death of poor me. Lord, Lord, it's gonna be the death of poor me. John Henry was working on the tunnel. Lord, Lord, they put him in the lead to drive. The rock was so tall and John Henry so small. He laid down his hammer and he cried, Lord, Lord. He laid down his hammer and he cried.
John Henry had a little woman. Her name was Polly Ann. John Henry took sick and he had to go to bed. Polly Ann drove steel like a man, Lord. Polly Ann drove steel like a man.
Captain told John Henry, gonna bring my steel drill around. Gonna bring my steel drill out on the job. Whop that steel on down, Lord, Lord. Whop that steel on down. John Henry told his captain, man ain't nothing but a man. For I would let your steam drill beat me down. Die with this hammer in my hand, Lord, Lord. Die with this hammer in my hand. Well, I die with this hammer in my hand, Lord, Lord. Die with this hammer in my hand.
John Henry told his shaker, says, shaker, why don't you sing?
Lord, Lord,
I'm throwing 12 pounds from my hips on down. Just listen to the cold steel rain.
Lord, Lord,
Just listen to the cold steel rain. Captain told John Henry, I believe this mountain's sinking.
yes, yes.
John Henry told his captain, Lord, ain't nothing but my hammer catching wind.
Lord, Lord,
Ain't nothing but my hammer catching wind.
John Henry hammered on the mountain till his hammer was striking high. But he worked so hard that he broke his forearm. He lay down
Blitzen. Who's gonna be your man of love? Who's gonna be your man?
Took John Henry to the White House, buried him in the sand, and every locomotive came rolling by, said, there lays the steel driving, Lord, Lord, said, there lays the steel driving man.
The series called Forecast is an attempt to provide something radio has long needed, a useful, practical, trying out place for new radio ideas. Each broadcast in the Forecast series is a sample, a trial performance, a radio first night. Each is intended to give you, the listener, an illustration of a proposed new radio series. If you like these shows, it is possible that at some future time, any or all of them may reach the air regularly. 9 of these sample programs have already been broadcast. Tonight, Forecast presents 2 more first night shows for your approval, each marked for future reference. Forecast number 10 from New York, Back Where I Come From, with Clifton Fadiman.
Forecast number 11 from New York and Hollywood. Double feature with Edna Best, Richard Wharf, and Roy Atwell in New York, Charles Lawton, and Elsa Lanchester in Hollywood. From New York, then,
Back Where I Come From.
Boys and gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight, come out tonight. Boys and gals, won't you come out tonight? Dance by the light of the moon. Oh, I dance with a gal with a hole in her stocking and a heel kept a rocking and a toe kept a knocking. Oh, I dance with a gal with a hole in her stocking and a dance by the light of the moon.
Tonight, Forecast presents the first in a projected series of programs called Back Where I Come From, a program of American notions about topics on which everybody has an opinion. As your host, we introduce the well-known literary critic of the New Yorker magazine, Mr. Clifton Fadiman.
The first thing I want to say is that back here where I come from, they call me Kip. My folks got that other first name of mine out of a phone book. Now, the real reason I'm on this program is because I like talking things over, and I like American stuff. I like swapping stories, songs, and ideas with the other fellow. I like finding out what things are like back where the other fellow comes from. Now, on this program, I'm going to be host and maybe peacemaker to a group of people from all over the country. We're going to sing and talk about love, life, politics, horses, heroes, and outlaws in these United States. And tonight, we're going to have a confab about a common national problem. I might say ailment, the weather, of which this country has considerable. We're going to think of all the old chestnuts we know about the weather, going to trade weather lies, sing weather songs, and even preach a sermon about the weather.
Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, but it ain't gonna rain no more. How in the world can the old folks tell that it ain't gonna rain no more?
Back where I come from, we always say evening red and morning gray are sure signs of a fine day.
Back where I come from, we always say...
Yep, when you see your cat washed behind the tears, it's a sure sign of rain.
I always say...
Back where I come from, we always say a white Christmas means a lean graveyard.
Back where I come from, we always say...
When pigs go about with sticks in their mouths, there'll be a norther in Texas.
Back where I come from, we always say it ain't the heat, it's the humidity.
Oh, it ain't gonna rain and it ain't gonna snow, but it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. How in the world can the old folks tell that it ain't gonna rain no more?
That's the way it is, folks. Men and women have lived and worked and foretold the weather in the darndest ways. By curls getting tight, by corns aching and crows croaking, by horses' tails and fishes' scales, by snakes, by fountain pens, by rainbows, onions, cats, and cows. Down south, where the Golden Gate Quartet comes from, here's the way they foretell the weather.
When you have that blue-goose howling, a sign of rain, oh, big sign of rain. when you'll have that deep crying. Gonna turn cold, oh, babe. Gonna turn cold, gonna turn cold.
Back where I come from, in New York City, most of our weather is indoors or underground or manufactured. But upstate, I guess we have just about as much natural raw weather as any place in the country. Take the weather on the Erie Canal that used to carry the freight between Albany and Buffalo. The canal was only 4 foot deep. But as far back as 1820, we have a report that the storms blew so hard they'd nearly sink the canal barges. Now, I won't swear the story's true, but I'll let you judge for yourself as some of the boys from upstate tell you the yarn of the Erie Canal.
We were 40 miles from Albany, forget it, I never shall. What a terrible storm we had one night on the Erie Canal. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low. And I scarcely think we'll get a drink till we get to Buffalo, till we get to Buffalo. Our captain, he came up on deck with a spyglass in his hand. But the fog, it was so tarnal thick he couldn't spy the land. He said to us with a faltering voice while the tears began to fall,
prepare to meet your death this night on the raging canal.
Oh, the Erie was rising and the gin was getting low. And I scarcely think we'll get a drink till we get to Buffalo, till we get to Buffalo. Our cook, she was a kind old soul, she had a ragged dress. We hoisted her upon a pole as a signal of distress. The captain, he got married, and the cook, she went to jail.
And I'm the only son of a gun that's left to tell the tale.
Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low. And I scarcely think we'll get a drink till we get to Buffalo, till we get to Buffalo.
You know, Kip, that was quite a storm, George. That's quite a storm.
Sure was, Woody. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Woody Guthrie of Oklahoma, Texas, and points west. Woody figures he's sung ballads in every honky-tonk between Oklahoma City and Los Angeles. Hope you don't feel too uncomfortable here in New York, Woody.
Well, I'll tell you, Kip, I was coming down to the broadcast and changed trains 3 times on the subway. So crowded that every time I changed trains, George, come out with a different pair of shoes on. You know, all this weather business kindly reminds me of Texas.
How's that, Woody?
Well, last winter, the Santa Fe train blowed the whistle down there, and the steam froze right there in the air. And next summer, it thawed out, scared half the cattle out of the panhandle.
Young man, seems to me you're suffering from a stunted imagination. Now, you take me.
I wouldn't take you to a country dance. Who are you, anyway? I sort of got a short memory.
Short memory, huh? You'll remember that. I'm just a natural-born expert, that's what I am. And as an experienced amateur and professional weather prophet, I'd like to comment on Mr. Short Memory's story there, if I may.
Have at it, boy. Nothing out of my pocket.
Just a minute here. Perhaps I'd better introduce
Of course,
you,
Mr. Guthrie, you realize you're a relatively young man, and although you've undoubtedly seen a lot of American weather in your ramblings to and fro...
On the bum, as the feller says.
Yeah, precisely. Just what I was saying, a bum, yeah. Well, I've seen some weather that might be called...
Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce
It might be
Mr.
called various. I've seen storms so black...
This is our good friend...
Well, it just got blacker and blacker.
This is our friend Len Doyle, general expert and technical advisor on any and all subjects.
Yeah, thanks.
There's very little the expert doesn't know, and there's nothing he won't talk about.
Thanks again, young fellow.
You know, that's quite a costume you've got on, Len.
Yeah, it took 7 deer to make that thing, including the fringe. I shot 'em myself. You know, Kip, this stuff you boys have been discussing is interesting, but it appears to a mature man is rather tame. Yeah, a little bit dandified, if I might quote Shakespeare. Yeah. Now, I can remember some of the curious weather we had out in the Middle West. There were some years with 2 winters. Yeah, some with the 4 seasons that come and go all in one month.
Sounds reasonable to me, Len. Not at all exaggerated, not at all.
Well, thanks, Kip. Thanks. I'm glad you understand me. You know, lots of people, when they hear my stories, feel they're a little bit exaggerated.
No.
Yeah, it's one of the problems the traveler has who refuses to take notes. Now you take the real facts on the petrified forests of Arizona.
That's right, Len. Give us the facts.
I remember giving a lecture up in Boston, and I said, way out yonder in Arizona, where it ain't rained since Noah, and it's so dry you have to prime yourself to spit. It's so dry the grass widows can't take root. That one's not bad. There's a wonderful forest where the trees is growing just the same as they did centuries and centuries ago. But all putrefied, ladies and gentlemen, all putrefied. And the branches of them there trees is growing full of twigs and leaves and bird nests, just the same as they did centuries and centuries ago. And flying around them their branches and through the putrefied air is a number of pine hens, sandhill ravens, and yellow-headed blackbirds, all a-singing their beautiful songs just as they did centuries and centuries ago. Yeah, but it's all putrefied, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I know.
All putrefied. Now, when I give a lecture on Arizona up to Boston last week and told this interesting scientific fact, some unbelieving miscreant sings out, "What about the law of gravitation?" And I sings out right back at him. Seems to me that anybody with a sense of a coyote would know that away out there in Arizona, this here new law of gravitation ain't worked for centuries and centuries, and it's like everything else out there. All putrefied, ladies and gentlemen. All putrefied.
Nice little job of putrefaction there, I'd say.
Yeah.
And the best part of it is, the whole thing's so perfectly believable.
Yeah,
That's the way weather is. Improbable, but true. Now, you take the people of Johnstown, Pennsylvania, for instance, and they'll tell you about the 20-foot wall of water that came rushing down Main Street one fine morning.
Yeah, I was there.
Or the people of Galveston, Texas, will tell you about the tidal wave that washed most of the city away.
I had to crawl down Main Street on my hands and knees.
Or anybody who's been in a cyclone or tornado can tell stories on end about straws being driven through oak trees or a baby being carried through the air by the wind for 20 miles, being set down again without even a bruise.
You know, it's a strange thing.
I know you were that baby.
No, Kip, that was my brother.
You've been around quite a lot, Len. Arizona, Johnstown, Galveston, Boston. Well, I've heard people say it's a small world after all.
Yeah, that's right. And the cosmic structure is just about the size of a pea, they tell me.
Now, to hear you fellers talk, you'd think that all the great storms of American history, by George, happened way back yonder. That ain't true. Storms hurt people. They drive people out of their homes, and they take their living away from them. And that very thing's happening right today back in the Dust Bowl where I come from.
Well, what about this Dust Bowl, Woody Guthrie?
Well, I come from Okemah, Oklahoma. Now, out in that country, ain't nothing in the world to stop that north wind but a barbed wire fence, and that ain't got but one bar. That dust storm hit, and it hit like thunder, and it dusted us over, and it dusted us under, blocked out the traffic, covered the sun, and straight for home all the people did run, singing, "So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. This dusty old dust is getting my home, and I've got to be drifting along." Boy, it's black as night in that little old Oklahoma shack. It is so dark that an electric light looked like a cigarette butt, and the wind is shaking the house until we thought she was coming down any minute. We sat there in the front room together with the kids on the bed. We didn't say a word for a long time. Then Paul said,
Well, it's looking pretty bad. I wonder if it's ever going to let up.
We all had to agree that it did look pretty bad, and we just sat there thinking that this might be the end of the world like the preachers have been talking about.
Hey, Paul, would you answer the phone?
You could tell them all was really scared.
Hello, Bill. This is Brother Gray. We're having a special meeting down at the church house. We'd like to have you folks come.
Well, we're on down to church, see each other for the last time, we thought. And let me tell you what happened. I'll just tell it my own way here. The church was jammed, and the church was packed, and the dusty old dust storm blowed so black. Preacher could not read a word of his text, and he folded his specs, and he took up collection, said, so long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. This dusty old dusty is getting my home, and I'm proud to be drifting along. Well, I'm glad that's over. I noticed that preacher made a pretty good collection out of that end of the world. What's that about your gold not supposed to do you no good up in heaven? Guess that old preacher must have had some inside information. Well, if he can take advantage, I can too. Guess I ought to go over and see Cora. She might be a little nicer and sweeter to me this time. I says, Cora, you gonna kiss me goodbye?
Sure.
Gonna kiss me again?
Sure, Woody.
Of course, I knowed by then that the whole world wasn't coming to an end. All we could think of, though, standing there in the dark, was just,
So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. This dusty old dusty is getting my home, and I've got to be drifting along.
I knowed by then that the whole world wasn't gone, but I know that our world done run out. I was ready to go, and I was saying goodbye to Paul.
Well, are you leaving, son?
Yeah, I guess so.
Which way do you think you'll be going? West?
Suppose so.
Well, I think you better stay.
The whole country's blowing away, the lands and the houses and people. I'm a-going too. Why don't you come?
No, I guess I'll stick. This is my place here. I don't know, but I think I'll stay.
Well, I had to go. The whole country's moving out in old rattletrap cars and trucks. Whole counties of people was packing up and leaving. And a whole big long caravan of them on the road was all going west and singing.
So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. This dusty old dusty is getting my home, and I've got to be drifting along. I got to be drifting along.
Two habits that people have had since the beginning of time have been making love and talking about the weather. Burl Ives is here all full of a song that shows you how the weather and true love can sometimes get all mixed up together. Of course, everybody knows about the highly dependable moon. But how about the fog and the dew, Burl? How about that?
Ah, yes, the good old foggy dew, the Irish foggy dew. When I was a bachelor, I lived all alone. I worked at the weaver's trade, and the only thing that I ever did was to woo a fair young maid. I wooed her in the winter time, and in the summer too, and the only thing that I ever did wrong was to keep her from the foggy, foggy dew. One night she knelt close by my side when I was fast asleep. She threw her arms around my neck and then began to weep. She wept, she cried, she tore her hair. Ah, me, what could I do? So all night long I held her in my arms just to keep her from the foggy, foggy dew. Again I am a bachelor, I live with my son. We work at the weaver's trade. And every single time that I look into his eyes, he reminds me of the fair young maid. He reminds me of the winter time and of the summer too, and of the many, many times that I held her in my arms just to keep her from the foggy, foggy dew.
Friends, we've discussed all kinds of American weather tonight, but we haven't said anything yet about the biggest event in the history of world weather. It's the story of the granddaddy of all weathermen. He prophesied the weather only once, but when he did, he made the barometer look sick. That miraculous meteorologist was Old Man Noah. Back where the Golden Gate Quartet comes from, they tell his story in sermon and spiritual. And right now, I'm asking Willie Johnson to preach that sermon for us. Willie Johnson, the Golden Gate Quartet, and Joshua White with his guitar.
Children, I'm going to speak to you tonight on the subject of Old Man Noah. Amen, brother. I want you to stop and listen while I tell you about the great flood that came to wash away the sins of the world. Amen. I'll tell you what Noah said to God and what God said to Noah.
Noah, it's a bad world, a violent world, and I'm going to make a flood and wash it clean.
Yes, children, that's just what the good Lord said. And just like he said, he done. And he told old Noah,
listen.
Children, stop still and listen to me. God walked down by the briny sea, beheld the evils of sinful man, and declared that he would destroy the land. He spoke to Noah. Noah stopped. He said, Noah, I want you to build me an ark. I want you to build it big and strong. Build it 300 cubits long, 30 high and 50 wide. I want it to stand the rain and tide. And there's a whole Noah. And over, and over, my God's gonna ride on the raining time. You there, Jeff? I say, is you there, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
You heard what the Lord said?
Yes.
Now I want you to get your brothers Ham and Sham and get down in the bottom.
Yes, sir.
I want you to get me out some wood for this here ark. I want you to get me some gopher wood.
Yes.
I want some wood that will float in all this water that's going to come.
Yes, sir.
You know how long to cut it?
He said 300 cubits.
You know how wide?
He said 50.
You know how high?
He said 30.
Good God, I got 120 years for the building. 120 nails to drive. But look out, I done got me a rainbow sign. Oh, my hammer, hammer rain. Oh, my hammer, hammer rain. I goes marching through the bottom, hammer rain. I go marching through the bottom, hammer rain. Why don't you ring, old hammer, hammer rain? Why don't you ring, old hammer, hammer rain? Old Nova had a hammer, hammer rain. Well, Noah had a hammer, hammer rain. Great God Almighty, so old Noah worked, and all the sinful people, and the sinful people gathered around, and they made fun of old man Noah. They called him a fool all over the land.
Oh, man, we'll get the water fill that boat, Bill. Oh, man, that ain't no boat. That's just a barn with the roof on the bottom instead of the top. He says it's going to rain up from now on.
Well, old man Noah, old man Cavill didn't pay him no mind. God done give him the rainbow sign. God done told Noah for the sketch his plan and to take courage.
Gonna build me a nicer world.
What you gonna do today, good Lord?
I'm gonna prove it to the world that I'm God of all power.
God Almighty can open when no man can shut. God Almighty can shut when no man can open. God Almighty can ask when no man can answer. He was attending to the flood.
I want you to build up the vaults of the sea. Let the water come down just like a flood. Let the water bellow up like a mountain. Gather up the scattering pieces of cloud and drive them in a solid mass to the sea.
Then I heard Jehovah say,
Water's rising.
Great God, he dipped his tongue in the rumbling thunder.
Water's falling.
My God, has bathed his eyeball in the zigzag of lightning.
Water's got up by the sills of the door.
Moving and I'm going home. Moving and moving and moving. Moving and I'm going home. Well, a whole lot of real, whole lot of rock, whole lot of land on the mountain top. Moving and moving and moving. Moving and I'm going home. Moving and moving and moving. Moving and I'm going home. Great God Almighty, they tell me that they grabbed the young ones and the husbands and went running on up to the upper floor. But when they got there, they couldn't go no higher. Then they tell me that they looked out of yonder and they saw the old lock coming, a bobbing and a weaving. Great God, the same old lock that had called old Lando a fool about it. They tell me that they began to sing and to cry, oh, Noah, oh, Noah, please let your ark sail this away. But great God Almighty, they tell me that Noah said, no. No, great God from Zion. You remember 120 years ago, you called me a fool all over the land and the country, but today I'm bound for Zion. So come on, children, and get on the old boat and rock with me and sing on the way to glory. Well, it didn't mean it rain, children. God's gonna send the water from Zion. He's gonna raise his heaven up high. If it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. Great God, then the wind did blow, the ark did rock. Noah couldn't find nowhere to dock. My God spoke and he whispered low. Showed old Noah where he wanted him to go. I said, look here, Noah, the rain's done stopped. I want you to land on the mountain top. Showed old Noah a rainbow sign. Said it won't be rain but fire next time. Well, no, it wasn't busy but fire next time. But he wanted to hear the angel moan. Didn't it rain? Children, God's gonna send the water from Zion. He's gonna raise his heaven up high. It's gonna rain, it's gonna rain, and it's gonna rain. Children, God's gonna send the water from Zion. He's gonna raise his heaven up high. If it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain.
Well, friends, I think we've had a lot of fun out of our confab about the weather. But before we leave you, Len Doyle, the Golden Gate Quartet, Woody Guthrie, Burl Ives, and all the rest of us are going to join in one last song together as we say so long.
So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. This dusty old dusty in my home.
And that should give you some idea of what Back Where I Come From will be like if it eventually becomes a weekly broadcast feature. What you've heard is a sample broadcast offered for your approval, comment, or criticism. As a series, Back Where I Come From would utilize for show-building purposes the rich treasure house of American folk material. Music, legends, songs, stories, American stuff in general. Tonight's broadcast was based on a confab about the weather. Successive programs each would take a single topic and develop it in a similar vein. For example, the second broadcast might be devoted to songs and stories about courting and lovemaking, American style, with regional variations. Clifton Fadiman, Len Doyle is the expert, and their singing friends would remain as permanent members of the cast, with other guests chosen each week to fit the topic of the program.
Back Where I Come From was written by Alan Lomax and Nicholas Ray, directed by Nicholas Ray. Stay tuned to this station for forecast number 11. Immediately after station identification, you will hear Double Feature, a proposed new dramatic program broadcast from New York and Hollywood. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.